Welcome to the Caribbean Property Investing Podcast, where we share real-life experiences for successful Caribbean property entrepreneurs. Learn about their successes, challenges, and strategies to help you create your plan for financial freedom. Now let's get started.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more will now benefit from the extensive procurement network of the Unicomer Group, the parent company of Quartz and Quartz Business Solutions, among many other retail brands. We will provide clients with everything required to complete their establishment or business place, based on their unique specifications and needs. In addition to sourcing the world's most reputable brands, Quartz Business Solution will also ensure that clients receive the most competitive prices, warranties on all with products, and delivery in the shortest possible time. Financing options are also available for purchases. Quartz Business Solutions provides full end-to-end service, from sourcing to delivery and installation, maintenance and repair. We are ready to serve you. Let's partner with you to realize your dream. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Welcome to Caribbean Property Investing, episode number 42, our special Christmas episode. A whole year has gone by already, 12 long months, 350 plus days, with only a few more to go before my favorite time of year arrives, is Christmas Day. We want to thank all of our viewers, listeners, supporters, partners, sponsors, and just general advocates for great support in 2023. It's a long, arduous year. We've covered quite a number of topics, and we continue to get feedback from all across the Caribbean and the wider world where you have Caribbean nationals residing. In fact, we've gotten requests to actually host podcasts in other countries like Spain, Hungary, and Belgium even. We have to figure out the logistics for that, but we're looking forward to having another exciting year in 2024. So from the bottom of our heart, we want to thank you for your support. This year, we've had quite a lot happening. In our next episode, we're going to talk about an exciting project which I undertook for the last 8-9 months, my first renovation, as well as building 10 one-bedroom unit complex. A lot more details to come in our next podcast. But without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our special guest. It took quite some time, and we're so grateful that she's finally been able to make it and finally able for us to organize all of our schedules. So, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you Miss Adele Jn Baptiste. Welcome to the show, Adele.
Good evening and compliments of the season to you too.
Well, I want to thank you because it's been quite a while since we've been trying to make this happen. I want to thank you to finally agreeing, and we finally got a time where we can sit down and do this. So we always start by asking our privilege. We are the privileged ones, our special guests, to introduce themselves to our audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Who am I? Well, Adele Jn Baptiste, quite a long name. And a little bit about myself. Well, I'm the general manager for Nagico Insurances for the past 7 years. And I've been with the company for the past over 12 years from inception, 2011. Been in the industry for 17 years. So my career is all insurance. What do I enjoy? I enjoy time spent with quality family, friends, a good meal, always some drinks, a good time, traveling. And in a nutshell, I also love my quiet time. I'm someone who enjoys meditating, yoga, and just being myself. So this is Adele in a nutshell.
We're hearing some noise in the background, a little barking. Who's that? Is that your neighbor's dog?
No, my loving shadow, German Shepherd. He's what, a year and August, September, a year and 4 months thereabout.
I admire people who actually have time to take care of dogs. I don't mind the pets, but I don't want to clean them and feed them. But I want the protection they offer and the love that they offer, but I don't want the maintenance.
Well, there's not much maintenance when they get, to a certain age. It's just a matter of letting them loose, feed them once, twice a day, some water, pet them, love them, throw some toys around, and you're good to go.
Okay, maybe I might look at that in the new year. So Adele, you are in the insurance industry. Um, Nagico is a company that has grown substantially in the Eastern Caribbean and Saint Lucia in particular. There are maybe what 20 plus, 15 plus insurance companies, some smaller than others, some larger than others. Sorry. But what can you tell us about Nagico and what sets them apart from the others in your opinion?
Well, we're homegrown. So our CEO founder is from Guyana, and he would have started. He loves this story with what $72,000 in equity and built Nagico from the ground up for the past over 40 years now. And we're what makes us special is our spread throughout the Caribbean, from as far north as Turks and Caicos to as far south as Trinidad. And what I love about Nagico is that everyone is equal in the sense that we don't have to have the the titles or the qualifications to be recognized as deserving of an opportunity. And that's what happened to me. You put your best foot forward and they keep pushing you to get all what's necessary in order to put you in your rightful spot. If you're willing and able, they recognize you. And I love that. So we're people centric and, of course, driven towards giving the best service in the Caribbean.
Before we move on, what I like about Nagico, I must say, is the quick resolution of claims, the competitive pricing. Property investors must pay insurance, and insurance is a significant part of our expenses and expenditure. And when you have a company that's able to work with you, even if you give me the ability to pay it in more than one installment, two installments, that's good, and you can manage your cash flow in that way. But let's get deep down to why we're really here. Tell us about your property journey. Tell us how long you've been, um, I guess, embarked, you know, on that course of action, and where you are today. How did it start?
Well, my first investment actually in land was in 2015, and I still have that piece of property. Haven't done anything really with it because of the area, the infrastructure wasn't in place, so I left it alone. It would have been quite expensive to build, and I migrated for a bit. But coming back as the manager, and with a little bit more income at my disposal, with yours truly's help, thank you, Ansem, I was able to actually invest in a plot that was more readily available to build right away. That was 2019. I would have invested in that, and I I was a bit fearful at first, whether I should just jump into it or, let it sit for a while. And decided, after I settled in, of course, into the role, that, okay, now I have some time on my hands. Let's get going into stuff for myself, develop my own. So I would have then reached out, of course, to First Caribbean, my bank, and gotten some information in respect to building loan, etc. And that for me, it took some time, but I wasn't in a hurry. Let's put it that way. Um, I wanted to experience it from the get go. And I had an amazing architect and contractor, Mr. Michael Doxury, kudos to him, honestly, because he made this journey really seamless for me. And anyone who asks me how was it, I swear I have no horror stories to give. But I was very nervous, and I made him very aware that I was nervous because of the horror stories I've heard when it comes to building. But I wanted
So
my own.
you said two things that were interesting. One, you bought a first piece of property, and because you recognized that there was not sufficient infrastructure in place, you left the loan and moved for something else. What was the consideration, or what were the considerations given to purchasing that first piece of property? Why did you choose that one?
Okay, well, first I wanted to invest in something lucrative. That was the motivation behind it, to have something of my own. Secondly, it was because of the view. You have a nice view of Pigeon Island, Boseju, etc. And I loved it. And again, I wasn't in a hurry to build. So I figure by the time infrastructure is in place, I should be ready to revisit that.
So where did you find out about this property? Because we get a lot of our guests, of our listeners telling us they can't find property, and every time anytime they get property that's available, it's always too expensive. All the deals are gone. How were you able to get that first piece? Did anybody tell you about it, or did you go about looking for it?
Well, like I said, it was 2015. Things were still okay because I paid about, what, 1650 for it probably. And forgive my memory, I reached out to a few realtors at the time. And if my memory serves me, it was Greg Fady, that was his name, who helped me out. And the lady who was selling it, she actually she had a few lots, and she was looking to dissolve with her partner, etc. So was kind of in a hurry to get rid of it and make some money. So I was lucky, let's put it that way. But I had gone around, made some calls, I saw some lots, and decided on this one for the view.
And at that time, it was to build your dream home, not about investing or anything like that, was it?
No, not really. It really was just about the view. I figure, let's get something for myself.
And do you think that at 1650 is actually a great price for the north of St. Lucia, and that's 1650 a square foot? Um, do you think that it would have been prohibitive for most people at 1650? You think that was too high or very high?
I think at the time the prices were increasing, but it was reasonable. It was about six something, a little over six something square feet. Well, is about.
6,000 square feet, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's fast forward now to the next lot. What were some of the considerations given in acquiring that lot?
Well, at this point, I was looking to build immediately. I had gotten the bug, let's put it that way, and felt like I wanted to develop something for myself and to generate income right away. So I wanted something flat. That's what I was looking for. And with the help of Mr. Mathway, I was able to get this ideal lot right here in Boseju. And that was 2019. And fast forward to 2022, here I am.
Why did you like Boseju? What about Boseju you liked?
For me, it's the convenience in terms of the proximity to work, proximity to, honestly, all the persons who I deal with in terms of hair, nails, female stuff. The north of the island, the north of the island is where everything is buzzing. So it takes me 7 minutes to get to work and back. My mother is right around the corner. I have family in the area as well, right next door. So for me, it just worked out perfectly.
I think this is the first on the podcast, and my producer is probably smiling when he heard that the reason why we chose a location is because it's close to my hairstylist and my nail stylist. That just so happened, as you said, to be close to the buzzing part of the north, the growing part. Okay, so now you have that lot in the buzzing area in the north, close to family and friends, close to your hairstylist, your nail stylist, close to all of the amenities, the restaurants in the north. How do you now approach what you build and what the design is going to be? And who are you catering to?
Well, firstly, I was catering to myself because I'm a minimalist in that regard. I wanted something modern, clean, and I wanted for the rental income side of things for the same. So, also noting for rental income, the convenience of being in the north would have been beneficial to me as well. So, these factors played a role.
And what did you finally decide on in terms of your design?
Well, upstairs, downstairs for me. You have kitchen, living area downstairs, a large patio. I'm not the traditional sitting a dining area, so I removed that aspect, and I have an how should I say it? If you can picture a seven, the shape seven, the apartment is to the top, and I decided I would build downstairs later, put a two-bedroom apartment there, because for me it would have been quicker and easier to put up three walls versus what traditionally some people do is they go up. So for me that was the process.
Most people have upstairs and downstairs. Maybe they live upstairs and have people downstairs, and then build maybe the other side later. But like you said, your design is shaped like a seven. So on the right side of the seven, you live on the two floors, and you left on the left side, build top part, and you have the bottom for future expansion. Are you
Right.
one of those people who do not want anybody living on top of you, walking on top of you?
Yes. That's what you were speaking of. I did from the get go say I don't want to hear toilets flushing. I don't want anybody to hear my toilets flushing. That type of thing. Because you get that. I wanted the entrances to be completely different so that you have some form of privacy, although the main gate would be shared. But you go one way, I go the other way. That's pretty much what I was a no brainer for me.
Your design is definitely unique. What was the reaction of your architect when you told him what you were thinking?
Oh, he was excited, especially since it was a modern design, which he's into completely. Most of his projects, if not all, are that type of design. And I would have walked him through where I stayed at the time and given him a clear cut idea as to my must haves and my nice to haves, let's put it that way. I didn't want to compromise on space. I have a lot of stuff, a lot of closet space, especially, and I wanted a clean, open concept, not too many walls at all. Like I said, minimalist design. Likewise with the apartment, just open space so that I could design as I feel fit. And he gave me just that.
So now you're operating with your own home on the right and one apartment on the left. Is it a one or two bedroom apartment?
One bedroom apartment.
And below you plan to
Fully
build what another?
furnished.
Uh, okay, fully furnished. And below you plan to build another one bedroom.
I'm contemplating two bedrooms.
Okay. So tell us about the experience with that one bedroom. Who was your target market, long term, short term, and what has it been?
Well, rewinding, I was getting through just my portion, having just built, it took a toll on the pocket. So of course I took my time because I know, yes, I want to go into the rental market, but I didn't want to give any I wanted to give quality service and ensure that I had everything that I needed in the apartment to be able to get continuous 5 stars. Let's put it that way. So I had my goal in mind. and took some time. So I would have moved in August, and I didn't hurry along to finish the other side fully and get stuff going until February of 2023.
So now you finally finished the unit, and you're going to rent it. Your priority was what? Short term or long term rentals, and why?
Okay, I explored both. Um, I must say, I decided on the short term after having conversations with a few people in the market, and it seemed to be the lucrative choice. Also, I was a little hesitant to have someone permanently in my space. Let's put it that way. I like having to go in and ensure everything is still in order, clean up, change stuff as I go along, especially since it was new to me. This was my baby. This is my baby. Let's put it that way, my investment. So for me, I don't mind going long terms at some point, but the short term has been great so far.
And what would you say is the most challenging element of being a host, a short term host?
To be honest, I'm blessed in that regard. I haven't really had challenges. I love because I love meeting new people, and I would say it's because of the standards that I set out for myself, and what I would like as a guest, that I try to go above and beyond. So my only challenge is when I feel like I'm letting down a guest. Maybe they ask for something that I don't have available, or the tone sounds like they're a little disappointed. These little things for me, because again of the standards that I set for myself. I just want you to have an incredible stay, to be
So,
honest. But I've had no challenges thus far.
in terms of what your guests have to look forward to on the receiving end, and from your end, what are some of the things that I guess, you put in place to ensure that it represents your high standards, and they also, get a very good experience? What are some of those things that you really pay attention to?
Before you travel, I ensure that I communicate and remind you of certain things, because people don't always read through everything that you post on Airbnb or online. So I don't take it for granted that they know these things, because a lot of hosts do. They might direct you to the website and say, but this was there. I don't take it for granted. I would resend you a message just to let you know I'm looking forward to meeting you, and start that pre-conversation. I ask what type of beverage is your preference, whether it be a soda, juice, wine, etc., so that not only do you have a welcome drink, but it's to your taste. Um, I ensure that you have your access code beforehand, and instructions on how you use the keypad. Just a few things, and ensure that I ask certain questions, whether it's business, pleasure, it's a birthday, special occasion, that type of thing, so that I can best prepare you for a wonderful welcome.
I've been told that by far women are better, more sensitive, more um, intentional hosts than men. Um, and you know why I'm inclined to believe that? I'm a male host, but you know why I'm inclined to believe that? One of my friends who have Airbnb or short-term rental accommodation is fussing always about pillows and the quality of pillows. I say, I just buy 4 pillows. He said, no, 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 no. Pillows are paramount. So what are some of those little obsessive quirks that you have that you think sets you apart from others, and maybe other male hosts like myself?
Well, definitely cleanliness, and I don't doubt that you keep your place clean. But I really do the looking at the window seals, for instance, little things like folding the towels in a welcoming way, whether I put swans on the bed, or a design hanging in the washroom, fold the tissue in a design, maybe put some flowers on the bed, just little things, ensure that the place smells really good. You have water in the dispenser. Um, Everything is topped up. Let's put it that way. There are little things that I did. For instance, I have a little jar of Q-tips, a little jar of the individual floss, and a little, would I say a first aid kit, but convenience kit where you have plasters, a sewing kit, different things, a diffuser should they like to unwind or want that. Uh, just I think of me going to a space and not wanting to bother the host. What would I need? Let's put it that way. So I take all these little things into consideration. And an extra pillow is there as well, just in case.
And for that, you've won yourself Superhost award already, right?
Twice, actually, in what, 10 months? So,
That's
yes.
fantastic. Congratulations. So I know right now we have listeners thinking, what are you talking about all this short-term rental for? Tell me, how do I get the loan? How do I qualify? You did say that once you got a new job, you were then able to get another piece of property. Can you describe the process? I know that you said that you have a great relationship with your bank, and maybe that's a starting point. But what are some of the things that you would have had to put in place or you would have had to do to ensure that you were considered favorably and successfully get that financing for that piece of property, for the land, and then the building on that land?
Okay, well, like you said, the fact that I already had um, credit card loans and that my history spoke for itself, it wasn't that tedious. But you do find that the requirements have heightened with the banks over time. So getting your usual tax clearance letters, letters from your job, um, ensuring that you have the necessary collateral in place. These types of things are taken into consideration, really. But
So,
ideally for me, it was the relationship that was already there with my loans officer.
so a young lady your age listening to this podcast, I mean, how does she get ready? So you said quite a number of things. What if she says, I'm not making enough money, so I can't save. You know, how do you deal with that?
It doesn't need to be, $1,000 a month per se. You could make that sacrifice on a monthly basis, as small as it is, into an interest bearing account. And over time, again, like I said, I did not rush this process. I bought this land in 2019, and my aim was to ensure before I jump into any investment, well, in terms of building, that I have sufficient savings. And I took it day by day, month by month, let's put it that way. So I don't think it's fair that I pressure anyone to ensure they save. If you absolutely don't think you can squeeze a little extra, but it's very much encouraged, because if it wasn't for my savings, I really wouldn't have been in a favorable position, even where the loan was concerned, even to take care of all the little amenities that, well, the related matters where that's concerned, because you have lawyer fees, you have, all the things that we don't really take into account when we're getting a loan. It's just for the building, but we have content, you have guttering, you have your solar water heater, your tanks, fence. It really depends, and you want to ensure that you have savings to take care of all these little things. And of course, before you even get to that, to show to the bank that you're able.
So fast forward now. So you qualify for the loan. You got your architect. You gone through the process of approval, and now it's the build process. You said that you're very, very comfortable. You had a good architect, contractor, and that's not always the same. But that's not always how it. It's not typical. Typically, the architect is the architect, and then you get a builder, and then the architect actually comes to supervise the site. You pay him whether it's a site visit fee. It can be about 100 US or 200 EC every time they come to ensure that what is being done on site is consistent with what has been approved by the DCA. I don't know if it's an advantage to have the architect being the builder, even though I've used that arrangement. It's easier, but I can see where we may have challenges. And tell us about that experience, because you said that you were comfortable, you didn't have any challenges per se, but you were very nervous. What are some of the things that made you nervous? What were you nervous about for the build process?
Well, I like to know what's going on, and I really hoped that I would have been fully integral in, from the foundation up. So I was a bit nervous of as to whether I would have the time to be involved in that, etc. And like you said, the arrangement, the experience was not typical, and it served as a good and bad thing in the sense that I felt like he didn't need me at all. He didn't need my input at all. Not even needed. He didn't even need to wait for the disbursements to move forward on the next stage. That type of thing, and that's a good thing. But I felt like I was being left out, and I had to ask questions as to, okay, hey, um, what's happening, what's next, and then we would have some conversation. But he was just let's get it done, let's meet our target timeline, deadline, etc. And for me, it really was just a matter of getting involved, where I had to pick, my colors, my sinks, my faucets, these little things. So I maybe I'm not the best one to speak on challenges because I'm blessed in that regard. And I can't speak to what it would be like to have a completely different contractor from my architect. Your viewpoint is that it can be controversial, but I felt like him knowing the design, he was able to make adjustments as the contractor without my input. Let's put it that way. So add 2 inches on this because when we went through it, I'm seeing, okay, no, we missed this in the design. That type of thing. So he would do these things of the whim.
Which brings us to my next question, and that is, what are some of the key changes that you can remember? As in, what was the original design and what actually happened during the building process?
I do remember that we the way the lands is sloped, there's a peak to the top. And the original design was that I would drive in from that. So I would go up the road and drive down to the property. But we changed that. We kind of dug into the land, leveled it out a bit, put some boulders up to ensure, we have some form of a retaining wall. We created that, which wasn't part of the original discussion, and kind of turned the property around in such a way to accommodate a different entrance, which worked out perfect because then now I can use that little triangle peak, which would have probably been wasted land, to probably put a little sanctuary, a little gazebo. That's in the future plans.
And what about internally, in terms of room sizes, room layouts, etc.? Were there any key changes?
I would say not during the building stage. It would have been more back and forth during the designing process. To open up on the patio because I rather spend more time there. That type of these little things. But honestly, it wasn't much. It wasn't much because, like I said, our design or our minimalist modern idea was aligned. So it was quite easy.
I'm thinking that during this process, as a single woman at the time, what what was, I guess, what was some of the comments that were made, whether from friends or strangers, about you taking this on your own? Can you share some of those?
Well, I'm quite private, but when I would share it would be more commendable comments that it's It's good that you're investing in something like this. One or two would be, isn't that scary for you? Doing this on your own, you get these comments, and you know, won't you won't you prefer just renting, or you know buying a home instead of going through the building process? Or me, I don't want all that stress. And so these things made me fearful coming into the construction phase, because like I said, the horror stories you hear about, persons using the monies for other things. uh, so that's what I would have heard.
And looking back now, what would you say to Adele just before she went to the bank, having gone through this entire cycle and now living, hosting successfully? What would you have said to yourself back then that you know now?
Save more. Oh Lord. Because like I said, my standards were here. So a lot of the things that I was looking at on Pinterest, and a lot of the ideas I had in mind, yeah, when we really started to put things into perspective, I had to tone it down a bit. I wanted certain types of doors, and we had to tone it down a bit. So you find when you're going through the process, depending on the availability of funds, it really causes you to reevaluate your wants. Let's put it that way. And I'm sure everybody goes through that. So I would encourage anyone to ensure that you have sufficient savings, because a lot of things I took for granted that I didn't realize were out of pocket.
And how do you feel about maintaining and managing two households now? Because it's two households.
The other one is pretty easy. It runs itself. Let's put it that way. It's kept clean all the time. So, and I'm blessed to say that it's usually occupied. It took off really quickly, and again, it's because of reviews and the pricing. As much as people say it's a bit low, but I'm starting out, so I want to ensure I attract good clientele at a decent price. So it's been
And is that a
okay.
strategy? Is that a deliberate? Is that a deliberate strategy?
You could say that, because I mean, I do need to build the reviews, and if I don't have persons, if I don't have guests coming because the price is too high, I wouldn't have gotten. I highly doubt I would have gotten this far with what 24 5-star reviews in a few months. I two super host periods. I really think the strategy was well thought out. And I do also offer discounts depending on the length of stay. So that's also taken into account.
And primarily, who are your typical guests? What's the profile?
I've actually had, let's say they've probably ranged from mid 20s to mid 40s, thereabouts so far. Men, women, couples, you know, mainly from UK, US. I've had some solutions who have been living in the US, so they're returning either for the first time or they come back and forth. And I've had Nigerian, different persons, French persons. I've had a Dutch guest. So, even with the language barrier, it's still been quite fun.
And so far, you haven't had any bad experiences and any abuse of your place or any horror stories with guests.
No, and knock on wood. I mean, things happen, but knock on wood. And
Okay,
I guess
so
it could be from the standard put forward, because if I'm reading reviews and I pick your place based on reviews and what's expected, what I see, I kind of emulate the same. Like, I really wouldn't want to be the one to have a bad review with you. It kind of plays on the mind in that way.
No, I always ask this question because I know the kind of comments you're going to be getting already, and so one of a fellow professional young woman fresh out of university, maybe working 10 years in a different field, watching this podcast, kind of walk her through what are some of the things that she needs to keep in mind or prepare for outside of savings, because you said savings, but what kind of mindset must you have to go through this journey?
Um, you need to be focused and definitely organized, I would say, in the sense that you know exactly what you want to get out of this, and your timelines. Not to put pressure on yourself, but looking at the bigger picture. For me, I'm very driven. I don't like to be idle. I'm always thinking of early retirement. Let's put it that way. So these serve as my motivation. And I was not always in a position to be able to afford this. So again, to anyone looking at this, yes, I'm currently the manager, I can afford to, etc. But I was never at this point. I was an executive assistant, but I always knew what I wanted to accomplish in life. So I always put my best foot forward. It sounds a bit vague, but it really depends on your tenacity, not letting things or disappointments or changing in course in your life, change that perspective that you have for it. You will get let down from time to time, or things will not go as planned, but always thinking, you know what, maybe that's how God wanted it. So maybe it's just to slow down, take two steps back, let's do this next month, let's do this next year, but never let it defeat you. Let's put it that way. I never felt defeated.
I've always said this, and I don't know if you can see it on my face. I'm actually very, very proud of you. And when we hear stories, because we know some of the people, sometimes we get the story live, some of the details, but a lot of times I have kind of like the backstory. But the listeners who say that, well, he has this or she has that or their family has this, or I'm in such a different situation. If you look at the episodes and listen to the podcast, it's almost the same qualities that are required. You have to be focused, you have to be disciplined, you have to make sacrifice, you you have to be able to deal with changes, deal with challenges. It's the same. And what we want to do through this medium is to continue sharing these stories, and let people see that ordinary people actually can excel. And it's not about being perfect. And I've heard people say that before, that things must be perfect. You tell them that it doesn't have to be perfect. You say you continue with rolling the punches, correct?
Yes, definitely. Like I said, even even during my building phase, there were things I was disappointed I couldn't get right away. But my thought process was, it's okay. It won't happen now. Maybe a year from now, I'll change this up, change this up. But stressing on the fact that don't pressure yourself. I do that a lot to myself. So to anyone out there listening, well, to listeners out there, I should say, do not pressure yourself. Everything comes in time. And I've always just been this young, driven woman who tries to stay as humble and grounded as possible. And like Ansem has mentioned, sacrifice is a big thing. So where maybe I would have wanted to take a trip, or otherwise I think, okay, you know what? Ada, you want to build. So let's just save this. Let's just save this year. Because I love to travel. I really love to travel. But I just traveled less, did a lot less to ensure that the savings were where I needed it to be so that I could get the ball rolling. So again, just stay focused and grounded. And as little as you can, it will go a long way.
Even after having listened to everything that you said, and I ask you, was it worth it?
Yes, without hesitation.
Okay.
But a very wise man told me to ensure that my investment can take care of my mortgage. So that's the next goal. I'm monitoring the income, seeing, okay, the potential. But I must say, I do need probably one or two other investments to be able to manage that. Because you want to ensure that you're not working hard and can't enjoy the fruits of your labor. You sacrifice to be where you are. You work night, day, etc., so that you could get the promotions, get the recognition, get to that salary point where you can start investing and doing things for yourself and with less worry. And you just keep at it so that you can be in a more comfortable position each time. And this is what I'm aiming for. And I would encourage anyone to do the same.
Okay. Okay. I think it's a good place to end. Adele, I want to thank you for taking your time to speak with us and share your story with us. It's one that has inspired me, even now, and hearing it, some of the details again. Okay, so you've been listening to another episode of Caribbean Property Investing Podcast. Another year has gone. As we said to you before, we want to thank all of our partners, and maybe we should just mention, call them out right now: Bank of St. Lucia, Courts, and Courts Business as well. Um, and everybody else who would have played a significant role. Our production team, Allbiz Media, our producer, Randall Lubin, executive producer, Bradley Lacan from Allbiz Media in St. Lucia. Without you guys, we wouldn't have had this show. And next year, we want to be better. We want to continue with, higher quality guests, higher quality production. Send your feedback into us. Check out the Facebook pages. Check out the social media pages. We'll be posting some updates on the two projects we spoke about. And more importantly, January next year, we're going to start with our first masterclass. It's going to be a 1 hour weekly for 4 weeks, closed group of people, share the stories, and we learn the basics of Caribbean property investing. It's not very expensive. It's going to be just $100 for the month, $100 for the month. So essentially, it's $25 per class. If you're interested, just hit us up on social media, IG, Facebook, or email caribbeanpropertyinvesting@gmail.com, and let us know you're interested, and we're going to sign up and get our first class going for the month of January. So until next time, we want to encourage you to enjoy your Christmas, spend time with family and friends, and more importantly, forget about New Year's resolutions. Put a plan in place. Think about it. As Adele said, do not put pressure on yourself, but ultimately recognize that as time goes, you get older and may become more difficult to purchase what you want because you have to also take action. We're available to help. Send us an email, send us a message on Instagram, social media, and we'll be happy to help you start the ball rolling, start your process that will ultimately lead you to getting your mortgage subsidized, getting your mortgage paid, and ultimately getting actually rentals to pay you so you could actually retire early. So until next time, remember, everyone needs somewhere to live. You might as well own yours and get paid to live in yours. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from all of us at Caribbean Property Investing.
Congratulations and thank you for tuning in to the Caribbean's first property investing podcast. We want to help Caribbean people create wealth and achieve financial freedom through property investing. Our show provides general advice based on personal experiences and is for educational purposes only. For more information, resources, and past episodes, visit us at CaribbeanPropertyInvesting.com. Remember to click the subscribe button so you never miss a show. Let's go.